mess we're about to get into right now.
Hello and welcome to a brand new preview episode for Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
And Tiara.
Hey.
All right, guys, we're back. This is a preview to episode 216, Sylvie's Love. Now, this month, because it is February, romance is in the air. Obviously, Valentine's Day is in the middle of the month. So we thought we would do two Black love movies. First one being Sylvie's Love. I will read the... I'll read the synopsis. I have no idea if it's accurate off of Google. Please feel free to correct. Sylvie has a summer romance with a saxophonist who takes a summer job at her father's record store in Harlem. When they reconnect years later, they discover that their feelings for each other have not faded with the years. This one is obviously starring Tessa Thompson, which is obviously the big name here. And then Nnamdi Osamoga.
Nnamdi Asamoah.
Thank you. All right. There you go. I don't know this person, but he's a former cornerback, I understand.
Isn't that
Kerry Washington's husband?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Good for them. Good for him. All right. MC Light is in this movie? That's weird. Anyway, it's an odd addition to the cast. I didn't know that. I haven't seen this. The two of you have seen it. This was on my list of things to watch. This is an Amazon film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like Tessa Thompson a lot. And I think she's done some really creative things over the last couple of years. So I do look forward to watching this. But you'll be able to listen or watch us go in depth on Sylvie's Love next week. Okay. Random topic this week. Not as fun. Let's talk about mental health. There were two sort of prominent folks who passed away recently, seemingly via suicide. And I only say seemingly because they do investigations and like you don't know, but I think we can pretty much assume that it is suicide for both of these Black folks. One of them being musician Ian Alexander Jr., who is Regina King's son, and the other being Chelsea Christ, the former Miss USA and correspondent for Extra. Both very young. Ian Alexander Jr., 26, and Chelsea Christ is 30, or was 30. Look, I don't know. Obviously, suffering from issues of mental health is a serious and growing problem for everyone, especially during COVID. But it's often not talked about enough in the Black community as we deal with it. Besides the prey on it type of shit. But I do think people are kind of coming more to terms with the idea that this stuff is happening. What are your thoughts?
This is really, really... Oh, go ahead, Tiara.
Okay. No, go ahead, Michael.
Ladies first, Tiara.
No,
I love how you started and then couldn't remember what you were going to say. I'm going
to defer to my king here.
And as a king, the queen is the most powerful piece on the board.
Look, I think both of you are having a mental health breakdown right now. One of you go.
Look, first of all, the national.
Okay,
first of all, I'll go. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255 for anyone that may need it. This is very sad. News reports about Chelsea Christ came out. Her further development has happened. Her mother says that she had suffered from bouts of extreme depression, which might have right. She was an attorney, and seemingly had a pretty decent life, but you never know what people are going through. I know that, and this is why we want to talk about mental health. Lately, people have in the Black community have encouraged going to therapy and stuff like that, right? which I'm all for. But however, you got to pay for that stuff, and it is not. It's something that we didn't do because of like some bullshit stigma, right? Like, oh, you ain't crazy, you just need to, keep working, or right, like pray on it, or and two, like I don't want to say that's a luxury, but we don't have it's like a healthcare thing, right? Like we don't have access to therapists and the type of health coverage that will cover that, right? Like unless you are someone who has, a very well-paying job with insurance and all that, then yeah, sure, you can get it. And I recommend that you do. It's good to talk to people. But what about the people who work blue collar jobs? The section of us that, are living paycheck to paycheck. Like life is very difficult. Who do they talk to?
Right.
And it's a problem, man. And if anything, I just want to encourage people to talk more. I even if it's not, a therapist, get a friend, a real friend, not like a yes friend. And I truly encourage people to talk more about their feelings, especially dudes, especially men, especially black men. Like we got this, black men have this thing where we just got to be hard all the time. And, like, and it's just how we grew up, right? Like, even if we squash the beef, I ain't touching your hand. Like, that's a DMX lyric, yo. And like, maybe if DMX had people by his side that he could really talk to about his troubles, he'd still be with us. And so I'm rambling because this kind of affects me, man. Like just talk to people, man. Just try to we need to normalize that. Like, sure, it's great to normalize going to therapy and stuff, but like not everybody can afford that.
Right.
And I think we need to normalize talking to people. I think we need to normalize like guys talking to other guys about like emotional shit, right? Or talk to your women, right? Like there's this whole thing where like I gotta be hard. My dad once told me, he was like, try not to cry, and if you have to cry, don't cry in front of your wife. And I'm like, yo,
that's your wife.
That's my wife, yo. And she's like, well, you gotta make sure that you are the stable one. You gotta make sure that you are the rock for her. She is the shoulder. You are the shoulder that she needs to cry on. Like, and I understand.
And what about me?
I understand what he was trying to do, man. I understand it. I get it. He comes from a different generation, man. And look, to that point, like I've only seen him cry one time. And that's when his brother died, and he went off in a room and did it. And I just happened to burst in, and I saw him crying. So he comes from that generation. But I don't think that's healthy, man. I really don't. So we need to start by normalizing just like being able to talk to people. And I want to ask Tiara, is this something that I mean, I have to imagine it is. Is this something that black women go through? Is this something that like, because, we black women have they get every stereotype thrown at them, right? Like you're just an angry black woman, or you're not assertive enough. Like what the fuck is it? Like, can women just kind of talk to each other about stuff like this? Or were you brought up in a way that is like, well, no, you got to be strong. You can't rely on anybody. Like how is it?
I mean, it kind of depends on the topic, right? Like if it's about things that are like the family matter, where it's really hard to kind of not even hard, but it's taboo to kind of encourage people to break certain ties and bonds that you have with family. No, you can't really confide in a whole lot of people unless they're more forward thinking that you shouldn't have people in your space who contribute nothing but negativity to your mental and emotional state. I would say generally what I'm seeing is, especially amongst Black people and more Black people my age and younger, is that we are being more open about the things that we're going through. And also that there are more resources available for people who do need therapy but can't get it in the traditional sense, which is what I think that you're referring to. I wanted to add that for that it is, yes, it is very difficult to find a therapist that's affordable, but it's even harder to find a therapist that looks just like you. It took me a while to find a Black woman therapist to see in person in the before times before COVID. But the therapist who really ended up working well for me was a Black gay guy who had to break from a lot of religious upbringings that he had growing up in in the South. But at the same time, he was covered by my insurance. In the times where I've had to kind of navigate trying to find a therapist, either because my insurance wouldn't cover it, or I didn't want to pay out of pocket, or if I was just kind of looking for someone more permanent, I used other types of online resources. So like Talkspace is one that's really popular and something that you can use pretty much right away, and it's not super expensive. But there were also other places like BetterHelp that I looked into. You can also get some self-help books. There's some people who don't like it, but what people will probably need right now is probably something like cognitive behavioral therapy, and you can find really good books on that. Another free resource that has really helped me as well are just listening to podcasts that have to deal with that. And like the most popular one for Black women is Therapy for Black Girls, where they talk about a lot of the issues that we go through, from romance and dating to finances to trying to be that strong Black woman in every facet of your life, especially in the workplace, and especially when dealing in white spaces, or dealing with not just traumas as a woman, but as a Black woman in particular. And there's also a Therapy for Black Men as well, therapyforblackmen.org. And both of these organizations try to keep directories of Black therapists in your area. And some of those Black therapists may also be licensed in more than one state. So that way, if you see someone if you're in Maryland, let's say, and you see that they're based in Georgia, they may also be licensed to treat you in your state as well. And something else that therapists offer, and you just have to really check with them, is slide and scale. So if you're someone that can't afford the upfront hourly fees, some of them may be able to work with you where you are. So that's how like that landscape is kind of changing. And I think because we have these resources, you have more people who are being more open about their mental well-being journeys and like some of the struggles that they go through. It's very sad to hear about Regina King's son and Chelsea Chris. And I was just watching Chelsea Chris on Extra like last week. So it's wild to see someone who was like interviewing people, seeming so full of life. And then a few days later, you realize that she's gone and that she had been suffering from high functioning depression this entire time. And apparently she had some other issues as well, dating back a little while during the pandemic. But it's tragic because you just don't know what people are going through. And there's something else I saw on Twitter this week that really just made my eyes like want to cross, because it's one of those false equivalency things that people post on social media. I'm just like, you don't need to tear down one resource in favor of another. So there's this meme that's going around that's saying people think that suicide prevention is just calling the hotline, when it really is. And instead, what suicide prevention actually looks like is basically making sure that people have good financial help and resources, stable jobs, and accepting parents or family members, especially if you're LGBTQIA. And all of those things matter, but so does a suicide prevention hotline. And the suicide prevention hotline is for people who really need to talk to someone before they make that fatal decision. So it was just a meme that I saw that really made me angry because it's really disrespectful to the people who are trained to talk to people who are considering dying by suicide and have dedicated their lives to trying to prevent as many as they can. Another thing I want to add as well is it's also about, I mean, we talk about like checking in on your strong friends and everything, but one thing to also consider before checking in with someone is wondering if that's a relationship that you have with that person as well. Because some people, including your strong friends, may not want to open up about certain issues to you. But what you could offer is to say, well, I hope that you're talking to someone. I'm here if you need help, but I hope that you're talking to someone. If you need help finding that person, I'm willing to be there for you. But the other part of this is asking yourself about your own behaviors and how you interact with people every day. Like we just said on this podcast, we don't know what people go through every day, but there are a lot of people for whom that shit goes out the window when it comes to bullying somebody.
Yo, thank
online.
you, yo. Stop being fucking dickheads, man. Stop being fucking dickheads online, man. Like it just
it's
I mean, you could
awful.
just at me next time. I'm sorry. Like, my bad.
Yeah, Jay. Stop harassing people. Stop harassing Republicans online, Jay.
I don't harass anyone. No, but I think that's actually a very real thing. Because sort of online bullying is a real thing for adults.
It's a real thing,
not just
for
kids.
Adults, yes,
for adults.
Definitely for adults. I mean, I see it all the time. Like people who happen in people's mentions under the guise of I'm holding you accountable or I'm advocating for an issue, and then this person, and then the person that they're targeting says, "Hey guys, like this shit fucked me up." Especially if you're someone that is notable. And you have all of these dozens, possibly thousands of people in your mentions calling you everything but a child of God. And this person may come out and say, hey, this is kind of like messing me up. Can you stop? And you have people who are like, no, because of we are having too much. Yeah, suck it up.
Well, basically. it's often, we talked about this like last week, I think on the Nerdpocalypse. People forget that celebrities are also people.
Also people.
Like, look, I get it. They have millions of dollars and some of them are assholes. Like, that's fine. But they're all still people. Like, you can't just say any wild shit to people. Like, people read that and go, yeah, okay, that actually, like, kind of hurt my feelings. Like,
also,
they're not impenetrable.
People used to do that shit on Facebook, right? Like, they would just, like, somebody would say something and then it would just be comment after comment after comment of just shitting on somebody, yo. And, like...
Hey, spoiler alert. Part of the reason I killed one of our Facebook groups. Yeah, because when I started to see people do that and I pull people up, I'm like, we don't do that here. Like, take that shit somewhere else where you go into, you find their private account and you're like messaging. No, we don't do that shit. Like, let that shit go. You got to beef with somebody, you back and forth, whatever, then let it go. Like, to me, that's a level of immaturity. I just... Like also, I'm not going to personally attack somebody, like, and then I'm going to go after you and say that. No, I'll call you an idiot and then move the fuck on. Like, it's just stupid.
I've seen this shit happen firsthand. Like, I've
definitely seen it firsthand.
I've also seen the toll it takes for people, especially people who have to manage certain social media accounts, and to see like gangs of people like make nasty memes about you, who would write in like there's someone I know who is no longer on this earth anymore. They used to find his address and try to harass him. And they also found his personal email, and they would threaten to kill his dog, all because they didn't like some of the stances he took on certain issues.
Wow.
Like they harassed that man. And then after he passed, unfortunately, then there was like a lot of like, oh, we are so sorry because he did so much for this. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like you made it a point out of your day to harass this person on social media. And I think a lot of people do that. Even people who are listening to this right now. I know I've certainly participated in that in the past, but it's just after a while you have to ask yourself, like, one, why does this issue matter so much to you that you feel like you have to resort to that kind of behavior? And if you're such a mental health advocate or whatever people are calling themselves these days, that doesn't just apply to people who you like. Also has to apply to people who you don't like. And also, you have the choice to just not say anything. You have the choice to just disagree with someone silently. But the way that I see people take pleasure in being quote unquote petty and holding grudges and harassing people online, and then you have people who get fucked up by that in real life, and then something happens, and then you have people like, well, we need to just check in on your strong friends. Here's the resource, and it's just like, but
look, I'll be
100.
I will be 100% honest, and I have joked about this numerous times. But and I like every time I say this, I also add this part, but it doesn't come across as serious. Yo, look, I'm not gonna mention the dude's name, but yo, you don't have to run people off fucking social media at a certain time of year because of a story that came out a couple years ago. Leave people the fuck alone, yo. Like we get it, my nigga.
It's been 10 like, years now.
Nah, and I ain't been that long, but it's been like 5 years.
It's been like long enough.
Yo, let the shit go, man. Like, let it go.
I still see people mentioning it, and those people go viral, and people are like, "Where is he sitting today?" And I'm just like, "What?" Like,
yeah, dude, like, let it go, man.
Who the fuck cares, yo?
Like, right?
What the fuck?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not gonna mention, like, if you know about that situation, you know about it. Like, you pick it up, you know, you're picking up what I'm putting down. But the point is, like, we are also responsible for other folks' mental health in a lot of ways, right? Like our actions do in fact help or hurt people, right? Like there are certain things I don't talk about that I used to talk about previously on podcasts because I've been like, okay, not that it's just been pointed out to me, but I've also realized because I've fucking grown up and been like, yeah, you know, that's kind of a dick thing to say. I shouldn't say that, right? So like we all have some level of personal responsibility to look out for other people, whether they realize it or not, right? But I mean, look, to your point about, you know, mental health in general and, you know, seeking help when you need it and everything else, those things are important. And, you know, checking in on your strong friends, look, that's a great thing to say. It is a great thing to say. But I do think that we have to have uncomfortable conversations sometimes. We do. And it doesn't, you know, whether you are a person suffering from these issues or you are a person adjacent to someone suffering from those issues, right? Sometimes it's not easy. And, you know, it can just be hard. Look, you know, to Micah's point, like about sort of, you know, the stereotypes that guys have to deal with when it comes to mental health. Like, look, I know that it is, how do I want to make sure I couch this in like, in understanding so that people can actually hear what I'm saying. We have gotten to a point now, like I saw someone tweet, and I assume that it's in reference to this, either Ian Alexander or Chelsea Christ. Like this woman tweeted, like, you know, it's really sad. I didn't realize like black people were like committing suicide like to these rates. Like that's crazy to me. Yeah. And it was a black woman, right? And I said, yeah, like it's really bad, and it's not actually a new thing. Like that's the problem
amongst young black boys too.
Yes, that is exactly what I said. And I said, and I literally, and thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what I responded to. I said, it has been going on for a long time, and it's really bad for young black boys, right? And I sent her like a link to, it was like a statistic, right? And it's like the rate of suicide for young black girls is rising. Right. And, you know, and it's horrifying. But then when you look at the rate for young black boys, it's out of fucking hand. Right. It's not like, and that's not, I'm not trying to compare like one is worse than the other. That's not what I'm saying. Right. But, you know, it's like we're not playing the oppression Olympics here. But society has made it like Micah said, you know, this idea of like black women, you got to be all things, right? You got to be soft, but you got to be hard too, and you know, like all that shit, which is not fair, and that like keeps you jumping from one leaf to the next. It's unfair. Black men are put into a similar box, which is we are not allowed to be like, the only emotion we're supposed to have really is like being stoic or angry. Like that's it. Yep. We're never supposed to be sad. We're never supposed to feel anything. We're supposed to be fucking like the masters of stoicism or whatever, right? And then it's like, well, why are you so mad? Like, I'm just standing here, right? Like, so there is this weird thing where we don't even talk about how young black boys are forced into these boxes. I wish I could remember the name of that documentary that came out a number of years ago on Netflix, and it's just about young boys and suicide. And it is a fucking horrendously eye-opening documentary. We just fucking ignore it because black boy's supposed to be tough. You the little man. You're supposed to like. No, dude. You cannot raise boys like that. You can't, and you can't talk to men like that. Because look, and it's not just other men who do this. By the way, women do it too, and they go, "Well, I don't want some punk like who's not going to be like tough or whatever." You got to stop looking at men who have emotion like that. It's ridiculous. We have to let black men and black women live normal human lives and have the full spectrum of what it is to be a person. Yep. And the problem is also, black men and black women are never allowed that. We're never allowed it. And it's dangerous. It's not just dangerous from a like, he gonna flip out and get mad. It's dangerous from a like, this is why we die of fucking heart disease, right? Like, you can't be pushing down every emotion and all that other shit until you die of a heart attack at 55. And they're like, what happened to John? Yeah, this nigga's never, like the Bill Burr joke, like, this nigga's never been allowed to, hold a baby, say a puppy's cute. You never been able to say any of that shit. You just gotta be hard the whole time until you fucking die. And that's not cool, man. It's not a cool place to put people. And look, that's not just black men, but that's also black women.
I feel like that's also like, and Micah, you can let me know if this is wrong, but I feel like that's also part of the reason why you tell people to not call your son little man, because he's a boy.
He's a boy, yo. He's a boy. When you call somebody a man, like there are certain expectations that are placed upon you. And he's gonna be a kid, man. He's gonna be a kid, and I'm not here for that. Like, oh, look at my little man. No, I'm not here for that shit. You know what my son likes to watch? Peppa Pig. He fucking loves the shit out of that show. And and to hear him laugh at them farting and burping and shit, I don't know what the fuck it is. I just know he loves it. And like I'm not gonna have him and it's little stuff like that, yo. Like, I'm not gonna have him watch a bunch of like Predator and shit at 3. Like, what the fuck? Like,
put some hair on your chest,
kid, yo. You're not gonna let him watch Juice at 3 years old.
Nah, that's 8.
No, I'm gonna let him watch it at 8.
Right after he gets it from cutting the grass. That's 6.
Like you gotta let that's why Black Boy Joy is a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's just sad, man. And I think about that shit. I think about that shit more than anybody, more than I'm willing to kind of let people know. And it gets to me, man. It gets to me, and I get choked up, man. Like, I really do. Like, I don't want anything to happen to people, man. Like, I'm past all that shit. My angry 20s and shit.
Yep.
Fuck that, man.
I feel like it's so apparent. I feel like it's so important for parents to show those spectrum of emotions, especially ones that are deemed as weak, to their children. Like, because you don't want your kids growing up to be emotionally, what's the
stunted
term? Yes, emotionally stunted. And I would say, for little Black girls, I mean, there's like a whole host of things that you grow up hearing. Like, first, if you're a Black girl that develops early, you get a lot of those comments made towards you about possibly being fast, or you're unfortunately sexualized by either older kids or adults who should know better, and that can give you complexes around your body and what you think womanhood should be. There's also
please don't say that shit about my daughter, yo. Like within earshot of me, because I will act like a nigga super fast. Like, nah, please don't. Like, please don't. Ugh, not a fan.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it happens, and I think it's important to give kids the tools to deal with that, because unfortunately, as a parent, you can't stop every gross person that's going to say something to your child. But hopefully you end up having that kind of relationship where your child can come to you and say, this is what happened to me, and I don't know how to handle it, and I want to make sure this doesn't, or actually you want to make sure this doesn't affect how they view themselves, especially as they get into adulthood. And then, there's this feeling of feeling like you have to be like almost perfect in different ways, like perfect in school, always showing that kind of excellence, and that puts a lot on kids too. I don't know if we've talked about it, but I think maybe I might have been mentioned on the podcast once about like Black kids being able to be not excellent, because if you put too much like that umbrella of excellence on them too much, you give them like a complex. You pressure them to have to be perfect all the time, and unfortunately,
that's an Asian stereotype also.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just a stereotype. It's very real.
And and then there's just good old fashioned racism. Yeah. Hey.
Right.
And so, but it's also cultural, right? Like it also is actually cultural. Like some students that, like, not to get too much into it, but like I deal with high school and college students and teaching them podcasting on particularly education justice. And we had a number of semesters ago, we had 2 Asian college students, and that was their topic of basically their parents being like, why not an A+, right? And like, that's a real thing for them. And it really fucked them up in college. So it's absolutely real.
And of course, there's like the toughness aspect I think all Black kids have to deal with, which can make kids feel like, especially if they're being bullied, it can make it harder to go to your parents who are expecting to be tough. And how do you open up to your parents about like, hey, these kids are bothering me and I don't know how to handle it. Will they see you as weak? Or will they help you? So, I mean, I think a lot of it, I think as younger or you two, I would call you guys younger parents, but parents who are
no, we're not,
we are very much older parents.
We are older parents. Yeah.
No, well, Jay looks like he's like 20 or whatever.
Wow.
No, he does not. Shut the fuck up. He looks like he's 45 years old.
Go fuck yourself.
But what I'm saying is, what I mean by you.
If I shave this beard, I look 12. So how about that?
I believe that. But what I mean is like terrible. You two are more progressive than probably the generation before you when it comes to raising kids. So I feel like it's up to parents to cultivate that kind of environment where your kids feel emotionally safe and mentally safe to come to you with all of the problems that that they're going to face outside of your home. And I feel like if you can do that, then maybe you can prevent some of the problems. But also, there's like that sad reality for some people who deal with depression and anxiety, where unfortunately there's only so much that you can do, and for some people it's never going to be enough. But if we're talking about children, then
I mean, look,
I think it's up to us.
Yeah, look, you try to do the best you can. You try to have as much of a. I mean, obviously, neither one of our kids are like teenage age, right? Terrifying. Yay! Yay! Like realizing my daughter will be like in school in like 2.5 years is fucking scary. But like you try to keep I assume the idea is you try to keep the pathways open, right? For like actual conversation and communication. And that's hard because at a certain point they are learning more from their friends than they are from you, right? Like that's just the reality of things. So it's just what it is to be a parent. So I don't know. But like I'd like to think my daughter would be able to come to my wife and I and be like, look, this shit's going on. Somebody's harassing me. Like, Dad, I think you could take him. I'm like, all right, that's cool. No problem. Or please don't. And I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway. But I would like to think that my daughter would be able to come to me and say like, whatever's going on, whether she's having like an issue of like depression or something like that. Like I see it with like young people in like close to me, like family members and stuff like that, who are able to go to their parents like during COVID and be like, hey, I'm not feeling cool. And their parents are being like, all right, let's go talk to somebody. So it is possible. But that's like real work. Like you really have to work to cultivate that relationship with your child as a teenager. But I think it also starts with you have to always see them when they are young. And because I think Micah's point is one that like should be reiterated a lot. You have to allow them to be kids. You really do when they are young. Like we have this culture of like trying to rush people into like teenage years and adulthood. The second they can like put two words together, it's like, nah, they're just kids.
Yeah,
Just kids.
and I imagine
the first thing 30-year-olds want to do is wish they were kids again.
Yeah, because you never had any time. Yeah, so like you don't need to have that sort of arrested development. Like, allow your children to be children.
Yeah,
and this is coming from someone who has a bunch of toys in the background.
Right, they're right here too. two massive hypocrites, but it's true.
Look at the well-adjusted 30-year-old down at the bottom of the screen,
right?
Living her best life.
I have toys, but they're in a box.
Exactly, because you're a grown up.
Right.
I feel more like a child now at 30 because basically I can do whatever I want and no one can tell me no. I can, but also like there's also the thing of like handling all the consequences and
right. You got bills and
money.
Shit. Yeah, that's the part about being an adult.
That.
That's the part that sucks. So you need
also,
to be kept.
I can only imagine what it's like to raise kids right now in this phase.
Hard.
This phase of the internet age because like. Right now, kids be putting out everything. Like they be telling their whole business. Like they be putting their real names out there, what school they go to, and that was like
kids.
I mean, it wasn't
kids, adults
too,
dude.
Adults too, but like adult. I'm not talking about adults.
No, I could go. No, I'm just saying grown. I could go on a scree. I could go on a scree about what I've seen across TikTok in the last 2 weeks. I could go on a scree about it. You people need like help, like for real, dude. But calm down.
But with kids, I think it's the internet it kind of gives you this warped sense of reality that you have to be like super grown right now and have your shit together and be so well versed on every topic and all of this stuff. And I feel like saying like, oh God, I can't imagine if I had to grow up right now with all of that. But like if I had to talk to my younger self who would be here, growing up in that kind of environment, I would be like, you don't know anything. It's okay to not know anything, and also go outside and and go talk to people in person. And also it gives you a warped sense of how relationships are supposed to develop. And I'm not just talking about romantic ones, but like friendships.
Yeah,
like it gives you a sense. So I mean, there's that aspect that good luck, guys.
I mean, right now, one of the reasons it's so hard is because of COVID.
Yeah.
Like, our kids don't get to interact. I mean, both of our kids are in daycare, but like outside of that, they don't really get to interact with anyone but their parents.
Yep.
That's not normal. Like, it's not normal. You do play dates and shit. But like,
TikTok is here to educate your.
My daughter gets to watch maybe 2 hours of television a week. That's it.
Okay.
It's enough. That's enough screens. Like, it's enough screens. But no, like social media. No. No. You're not getting it. And that's funny coming from me as a person who has a tech background and everything. No. I notice that all the people who built those programs don't let their kids.
They don't
on
let their kids.
So fuck that. No. Your kid don't have Instagram. Fuck no.
Well, remember how Facebook or Meta or whatever, they were about to create an Instagram for kids, and I'm like,
people got pissed.
Why would you do that? Yeah, and people they were like, no.
Guess what? No. My daughter's not getting a phone for a while either. I'm gonna hit her with that Aziz Ansari shit. You getting a flip? You're getting a flip phone. You're not getting a smartphone for a long ass time. Fuck out of here. No.
Or whatever it is that by the time she's old enough to really appreciate one.
You get a beeper then. Some.
Yeah, you get the good old.
You're gonna spend more money on that beeper than you would a new phone.
I don't care. It will save my daughter from having like body issues.
You're like, buy this antique for $5,000. I'll take it.
I'll take two.
Just get like the latest iPhone for like $300.
No. You're not getting none of that shit. No, absolutely. I got it because I'm a semi-responsible adult. Like, nah. Mm-mm. But no, I think those kind of things can fuck kids up. They can. Look, that's why I keep my Instagram accounts private. It's part of the reason I do.
Yeah.
I don't trust y'all. No, I barely trust the people I'm friends on there with, to be honest. Barely. Micah. So like, yeah, look, I think, we do need to talk about mental health. I think it's important. I think it starts at a very young age. Like, obviously you don't have to talk to your like small toddlers about mental health, but it is treating them well and treating them responsibly. But also when you become an adult, being capable of talking to somebody if you don't feel well. Mm-hmm. Look, I went through like a pretty decent bout of depression for like a good year after like a pretty significant event in my life, like a number of years ago. And like, I didn't want to do the shows anymore. I didn't want to do like anything. And it took me like really talking to somebody to realize like what was going on. And I didn't go to like a mental health, expert or whatever, but actually talking to someone. And not just being like, I'm just gonna bottle this shit up and just power through. Like you can't just go to the gym and power through. That shit doesn't work. That shit does not work.
Actually, something I wanted to add as well about talking to your friends. Depending on where you are in terms like depression and anxiety, you have to remember that sometimes your friends are not always equipped to talk about the issues as deeply as you may want them to, like a mental health provider would. Like definitely, confide in people you trust, but also remember that there is a difference between having a friend who's listening and then also having a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's that as well. And then like also, again, for adults who are on social media, including people who are listening to this podcast, analyze your own behaviors on how you're contributing to people's mental health online. We're all online. We've all been online for a long time. And because of COVID, we're probably online even more.
Yep.
But there's always a choice in choosing to harass someone or not.
Yeah. Like
you don't have to, and you shouldn't be. And also you can't do that and then later say that you care about people's mental and emotional well-being, because you don't. And it can't be limited to people that you like. Yeah, that has to also go for people you don't like. And I'm not. Let me actually put an asterisk right here. I'm not talking about people like Trump or McConnell or any people like them. Harass them. It's okay.
Harass them. I don't need to harass them. I just say fuck those people in general. I don't see a point of tweeting at Mitch McConnell. That guy's just a dickhead. Yeah, like whatever.
They'll never see it. Their staff never see it.
You're yelling. You're yelling into a black hole.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the truly evil people who try to subvert American democracy and are still trying it now. I'm talking about like people who like celebrities, like people like love to do that, or just like random folks who go viral on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Like you don't really need to join in on that. And if you see other people doing it, including people you love, including your friends, that doesn't mean that you need to do that too.
Correct. Agreed. All right. I think that's it for this preview episode. I thought it was a good talk. All right. We'll be back next week for episode 216, Sylvie's Love. You can check that out on Amazon, by the way. I didn't mention that. If you have Prime, you should be able to watch it for free. All right. Next time, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of Black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the Black community.